Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. I'm wheeling around here these days, but thank y'all for being here today. LNG is extremely important. Extremely important in my district. My district includes Elba Island, which has been converted from an import facility to an export facility. Right now, we're trying to increase the amount of export that we can do there, yet this administration is stopping that with what I consider to be, and many of my constituents consider to be, poor policy and poor planning. Look, I believe in climate change. I'm chair of the Environmental Subcommittee, and I believe in climate change. I served on climate change the Select Committee on Climate Change. I represent the entire coast of Georgia. Environment's extremely important to us. I get it. And I do believe that man has an impact on it. However, I do believe it's cyclical too, and I believe we have to take an all of the above energy strategy approach to this. LNG, and look, this is a global problem. We all understand that. I don't think anybody disagrees that it's a global problem. We have some of the cleanest gas here in America, and yet we're going to stop sending it. This is another example of the administration picking winners and losers. So I'm baffled by this. And of course, I don't understand the economics of it. I don't understand the environmental impact of it, of this decision. So we know that this is probably more than just a pause. And we know that the ultimate aim here is to end LNG exports. Let me ask you, Mr. Rice, first. What's wrong with investing in innovations that can mitigate and reduce emissions from reliable fuel sources like LNG or coal, which still make up almost 80% of our energy consumption?
We should continue to innovate and make the energy we produce cheaper, more reliable, and cleaner. And that is exactly what U.S. LNG is. It's the cleanest, most reliable most affordable form of energy that we can deliver to the world. And to your point about it's a global issue. The reason, look at what's happened right now in the United States. We are the world leader in lowering global emissions, but global emissions are still skyrocketing. What does that tell you? We cannot solve this problem by just focusing inside of our borders. We got to start asking bigger questions. What can the United States do to lower emissions outside of our borders? And American LNG is the biggest, most impactful, powerful tool that we have to move us forward and start helping our allies meet their climate goals.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, the United States of America in the last 10 years has decreased our carbon emissions more than the next 12 countries combined while growing our economy. And I'm often critical of the fossil fuel industry because I don't think they do a good enough job of telling the public the innovation and the progress that they've made. And they have made great progress. Emissions are down with fossil fuels, and they need to be telling that story. And I think they're selling themselves short with that. Mr. McCown, let me ask you, what's wrong with investing in innovations that can mitigate and reduce emissions from reliable fuel sources like LNG?
Well, there's not. In fact, we should be doing that, and we're starting to do that with carbon capture technology for difficult to decarbonize industries. We have both the government and the private sector has added to reducing methane leaks and emissions and has done a pretty good job. Despite some of the earlier testimony, methane CH4 has gone down. It has not gone up, despite added production. So we're on the right trajectory. The question is, what is a realistic pathway to net zero that can be sustained without ruining the economy or destroying our national security? A transition period is not overnight.
That's a great point, and I appreciate you making that. Let me ask you, and go back to you, Mr. Rice. What's changed? What's changed since the last LNG studies that were done in 2018 and 2019 to warrant the Department of Energy to reconsider exports?
There have been some changes. Methane emissions have actually gotten better from this industry. And you will see us do a much better job with the transparency so we can showcase, as I mentioned, we need to knock methane emissions out of the park. Some of the things that we're doing that have taken place in the last few years, you're seeing responsibly certified gas. That is bringing in third-party environmental auditors to come in there and actually say the environmental results we're achieving are actually happening. We're taking to the skies to measure methane emissions. And for perspective, in Appalachia, we are monitoring the entire basin. And just to give some people some color on that, we are going to be monitoring for methane emissions across an area the size of France. We take this very seriously, and then we'll end by providing full cycle carbon intensities from the time the gas comes out of the ground, through the pipes, through the downstream facility, to the doorstep of customers. We'll have a full cycle carbon intensity score. These are going to be the things that we need to do and showcase in the environmental communities to address their concerns over methane emissions.
Great. Well, thank you all for being here. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for this great hearing today, and thank you for allowing me to wave on.